hi everyone, welcome to our Queer Muslim Role Model series. My name is Cindy, I'm a uni student and a social worker, and I'm joined here by Hussein. Hussein, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you so much. My name's Hussein Hawli. I'm 29 years old. I'm Australian Lebanese. I am gay as well. I grew up in Western Sydney. Western Sydney pretty much my whole life. I work in marketing. I work in digital marketing for an automotive group. I'm also a board member at 2010 and also a non-executive board director at Quality Australia.
Oh wow, okay, thanks Hussein. So could you share with us a little bit about your story growing up?
Yeah, definitely. So my story growing up, I don't even know where to start. Growing up, I grew up in West Sydney to a pretty big family, pretty big Lebanese Muslim family, I should say as well. I have 5 older sisters, parents as well. My parents moved from Lebanon, escaped the civil war from Lebanon to Sydney, I think back in the 70s. So, Sydney is all I know, pretty much majority of my family too. I grew up obviously in a very female environment, but that didn't really impact me in my sexuality, of course. But I kind of, my parents were doing it tough when we grew up. It's more about survival mode, providing for the family. So I'm really grateful for what they have done and that, the support that I had as a child. In terms of my sexuality, I pretty much knew I was gay when I was around 10.
Oh, that's so early.
I didn't even know the term gay. I just knew I was different.
Sure.
And I don't like saying different, but compared to that family environment at the time, that I'm not like my cousin, I'm not like him, or I'm not like them. And that's pretty much how my story started.
Yeah. Okay, so not like this traditional toxic masculine kind of role model that didn't describe who you were.
No, it's funny because I grew up in with my father, with my relatives, my cousins, all my male cousins. They were all very masculine and
macho Lebo guys.
Yeah, and I didn't identify with that.
No.
Automatically, even when I was 10, I didn't see myself as them.
Yeah.
Which then contributed to the way that I know I'm different.
Yeah.
And then my journey really starts off in terms of who I am and my sexuality from when I was age 16. At age 16, that's when, I turned to MySpace, as you do, to, reach out to different people and, explore. And that's really when I started to explore with my sexuality.
Sure. Okay, and when you face things like adversities growing up, because I can imagine my background was really similar, realised how different I was as well to my other Lebanese traditional, really feminine family members. So when you had adversities, who was there to help you, or what was there to help you?
In terms of who was there for me, through my coming out experience, for a bit of background, to build a bit of context, when I came out when I was around 16, 17 years old, I came out to my father through, I was seeing someone online. It was my first gay experience, and there was a lot of anxiety, and I was seeing this guy and I didn't know what was happening, sorry.
Sure.
And I went through I remember it was like a winter night. I was supposed to be doing an essay. I was on my computer, and the guy that I was seeing struck a few sensitive chords, and I had an anxiety attack, probably around 11, 12 o'clock at night. And then I broke down on the floor, had my anxiety attack, and this is prior to that. That never happened to me, and I obviously the family ran to my rescue, to my parents and one of my sisters at the time that was around. And that's when it was only until the next morning my father approached me and asked me, are you on drugs? You can tell me, you can coincide in me, you can tell me. And I said no, and the words dropped out of my mouth that I've been practicing for a very long time up until that period, and I said I'm gay. And that's when my journey really started. And then, prior to that, after that, post that period was when it really got intense. And that's when I went through I was physically abused, I was mentally abused by people, which will go unnamed. But I was physically abused for like a good 5 years, I would say. I was dropped out of school. I had to drop out of school. I was facing depression, tried to commit suicide multiple times. So it was really, really, really dark and intense. I even had to drop out of school. I dropped out of school, I was kind of forcibly dropped out of school because I just couldn't put my head together. And I dropped off the radar. So basically my phone was confiscated. The internet was confiscated from my house. Everything just disappeared. You suddenly, now we live in a very digital age, but then it was quite digital in terms of how you built your social networks and kept in touch, and that all disappeared. And basically that's when life really, really dipped down. And in terms of the support that I had, going back to that question, I was kicked out of home in my early 20s. With pretty much minimal money to my name. And I turned to emergency support. So what that basically meant for me is I luckily had a good friend at the time, and unfortunately we no longer speak. But he helped me through a lot. And he knows my family, and he's also a gay Lebanese guy. He helped me a lot through that period of struggle. I also turned to making friends on Grindr. And it's like the universe. I'm a firm believer that the universe always has your back. And I didn't know this at the time, but I was on Grindr and I made a few gay Lebanese friends as well, or other friends, and they became a support network for me and started to help me through that period. And some of them would even cook me food or come to my house and to my apartment at the time that I was lucky to live in, to check up on me. And I think that's when I didn't really have that family support. I was pretty much left alone in the dark, and I just kind of relied on any kind of support network I could get. And I turned to a lot of self-help at the time because I was going through depression, and that whole I was even trying to commit suicide at the time then too. But there was one instance where during that self-help period, I turned to a lot of YouTube videos to try to find other people like me. And then there was one video that wasn't another person like me, but it was the inspiration that kind of created that pivotal moment in my life. Which was around, it was actually, this is weird for me to say this now, but it was actually Oprah.
Oh, wow.
Oprah. There was a video that I came across on YouTube where it was Oprah talking, it was a short segment, like 2-3 minutes, and it was about taking responsibility for your life. And the whole thing is around, the concept was around taking that responsibility for where you are and where you need to be. And that only you have the ability to move your life forward. And it was those striking words that to me pushed me forward, and was that moment where I realized I can't be the victim of other people's abuse at the hands of other people. I need to take responsibility for who I am and my life, and I can't expect people to constantly help me and push me through. So that was the moment that I kind of obviously I relied on people helping me that I could get help from, but
Of
also
course.
there's a large portion of that where I need to help myself.
Okay. Wow, it takes so much like strength to draw on your own personal resources, especially.
Thank you.
It
Yeah.
takes something to be so proud of, honestly. I just wish more people in our world were doing that,
It's really tough. It's really tough. Like, especially when, you come from a minority within a minority within a minority,
Yeah.
being,
Yeah.
Lebanese and then gay, then Muslim.
Yeah.
You face so many issues with so many different societies and communities, and then it's so hard, being, I don't like saying this, but like, being gay alone it can be really hard, and you go through all that, and it's so hard to be in the mind frame that I need to help myself.
Yeah, of course.
Because you're so consumed with, in my experience, being physically abused,
Of course.
not knowing where to go, not having any money to go to,
Yeah.
like, to help you. And it's really hard. It really is a difficult process to take that responsibility. But
Of course.
it's in you somewhere.
Yeah. Thank you. And just on that amazingly positive note, what advice would you give to younger people that are maybe going through the same thing?
Yeah. The advice that I would give is, believe it or not, it always gets better. It always gets better, and that's something to always keep in mind, despite the fact that you don't have that environment around you that is supportive, or you still don't know or trying to figure out who you are. There is no answer to that. You don't need to. You just need to be accepting of yourself, however you are, right?
Yeah.
So my advice to people that are going through what I've went through or anything like that is to always know it always gets better. Always be confident with who you are, and don't doubt yourself, because one thing I was told when I came out, amongst a lot of other negative stuff, was you're sick. I copped a lot of stuff. There was someone once said to me when I was during that period, that crisis period of around 5 years, go shave your backside and contract HIV. Those words linger,
Of course.
but that the influence of those words in your life don't impact you as much anymore. Like, now I say it factually, and yes, it does, it kind of evoke that emotion, but things do get better because you move away from that, and actually that's their crap. That's not mine.
It's not a reflection of
Exactly.
you.
And rely on any support network you can get, even if it's through reaching out to someone just like you, or even anyone that you come across online. Reach out for support. It's okay to say I'm not okay, and to get that help. I wish at the time I did that. I just didn't know what to do.
Of course.
I didn't know, that I could go online, and yes, it was there, but because you're so consumed in that negative bubble, I didn't know to go online and Google, queer groups or queer Muslim groups or queer whatever groups or whatever it is. Just rely on people as well to push you through. Don't be afraid of that.
Yeah, of course. And look where you are now, where you're going on holiday in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're so successful and you're living your best life.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's taken, me being 29, it's taken a lot to get to where I'm at, both personally and professionally. At work, I never thought I would, in terms of my career itself. When I got kicked out of, when I had to drop out of school, my parents moved me to an all-boys school, thinking that would straighten me up. Little that they knew that there was probably more experimental gay guys there than
I would
any
say
other
so.
place.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to mention any names, but at the time as well, I'm glad I focused on my studies to push me through. At the time, I had one teacher that said to me, you should study PR. I'm like, well, what is PR? Public relations. And then that's kind of started my journey to where I'm at now in terms of studying marketing communications. So don't let go of your education. Focus on that, because that will benefit you down the track. And I'm not at the end goal at all, but I'm definitely in a better place than where I was at.
Of course.
But yeah, that's a miracle with life, is that you do good, surround yourself with positive environments, take yourself out of those negative environments, and your life will thrive. You will thrive. But just be kind to yourself along that process, right? You can't expect that tomorrow.
Yeah.
I remember when I was going through that period, back then, I was so angry that things weren't improving. But I just needed to be more accepting and more kind to myself and take those, life is an increment of everything, right?
Of course. Yeah. It's
So
true. Wow. So much to think about, and also it's so nice to meet somebody that has had such a really similar background, also gay, also Muslim, also Lebanese, like all that intergenerational trauma that your family is like solving, and they're all caught up in that survival mode, and you kind of have to teach yourself to like find the joy in life and the freedom to be yourself, I think, as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think with my experience as well, you kind of build this guilt trip.
Of course.
Because your parents or your family or your cousins aren't accepting of who you are.
Yeah.
And then you start, like with my experience, I started to feel guilty for who I am.
Yeah.
And it was only until like a few years ago, I'm like, nah, screw that. Screw that. Yeah. I am not, like, if people can live their lives for however they are, and my sisters and everyone else can live their life for how they are, why can't I have that?
Exactly.
And you can have that.
Yeah.
It's just in your hands.
Yeah, exactly.
It's in your hands. It's in your hands. And it is hard being, especially when you're, as I was saying, the three minorities of any kind.
Yeah, the triple threat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's so hard to, even with me, I'm now at a point in my life where I'm giving back. I'm giving back. I'm so grateful to be on the boards of 2 incredible LGBT organizations. And I never thought of that.
Yeah.
My first experience with, it was only, I think, like 3 years ago when I first approached Sydney Queer Muslims.
Yeah.
That was kind of my first point where I'm like, okay, I think I'm okay with myself. I want to help others.
Yeah.
I have enough strength to carry myself now.
Mm-hmm.
I want to help others. And that's when I reached out to Sydney Queer Muslims. And then I realized how fantastic, there's so many people out there.
Yeah.
Like incredible organizations like Sydney Queer Muslims that are there for people like me.
Mm-hmm.
And that just kind of took me on this path that I am on now, where I'm giving back to the community and I have to be brave to be Lebanese,
and visible,
gay, Muslim, and still identify with all those things.
Yeah.
And do what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
But you just need to find that strength and carry on with your life. And I'm not scared anymore. I'm not scared of what my cousins thinks, and or whatever anyone thinks.
Yeah.
And I've had my tough times, and even for example, like 6 months ago when my father was getting my father's diagnosed with cancer and going through his treatment and all that. But even in those devastating times, for example, I was at the hospital and one of my cousin's partners ignored my hello in the hospital.
Your own father?
My own father is in the ward.
Wow.
And then my cousin's partner, I said, hello, how you doing? Looked at me, looked away. Why do you think that is, right? But then I thought to myself, screw that.
Yeah. You don't need that person.
I don't need that.
No.
I'm too fabulous for this.
Literally.
I'm better than you anyway.
Obviously you are.
100%. But that's the thing, is that even to this very period, I still face that with my immediate family. People don't talk up and say things to me, but you do face that rejection right there with extended people.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
That's not your battle.
Yeah.
That's their problem.
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
That's not on your side of the fence.
Mm-hmm.
You carry on.
Mm-hmm.
So you just, life only gets better. You handle things better.
Yeah.
You don't let things get to you as much as they used to.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful to be where I'm at, and there's so much more to do. There's so much more to do. I hate knowing that there is people out there just like me, or within any LGBT people of any age or anything, going through what they're going through. So that's what fuels me to keep giving back, and keep doing what I need to do, and keep speaking up.
Mm-hmm.
Because people need to know it's okay.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Thank you for joining us today, and that was just so inspiring to hear about. I really appreciate it, and really proud of your growth as a person. It's just amazing to see.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thanks. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this, and I hope you've learnt something as I have today. So thank you guys so much for joining us. You can also reach out to sydneyqueermuslims.org.au if you need some additional support, or to kind of find your people like we have. And please share this video and stay tuned for our future series. Thanks. Okay.